Yo, 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 what's going on, man? What's going on, Atlanta Hawks fans? Oh, dynamic duo, man. Pop up style again on y'all, man. We got to speak on this Trae Young trade, man. And woo,
Something
we
else.
saw it coming, but we just didn't know where he would end up. And to end up with a team like the Washington Wizards, who has our former GM as my boy, Mr. Hawks Digest, just informed me, this changes the perspective of everything. But
Mm.
before we get into it, man, shout out to the chat, man. Thank y'all for coming in early. Appreciate y'all. Miss Stephanie, what's good? What's good? Um, Bernie Falcon, what's good? Devon 1000, what's good? What's good? But we're gonna get into it. But before we do, man, Chris gonna tell people what's up right quick.
Hey, how y'all doing? You already know. Back at you. Hawks news, man. Atlanta is on fire just all the way around. A lot of so much going on the last like 72 hours with the just Atlanta sports, just really everything, just from Sunday all the way up to now. It's just been on fire, and we still coming to you, providing y'all what y'all need. That's the news, and this right here is just so big you can't overlook it. Again, you know what I'm saying, like a big star in the city of Atlanta is now in Washington, back with the guy that did draft him and Travis Schlenk. Travis Schlenk gets his point guard yet again, and we're going to move on forward with the Jalen Johnson era now.
Yeah, and we've been kind of expecting it for a while. When we seen him break out last year, and he before he got hurt, he was to me on the road to being an All Star, and this year he takes his game to another level. We call him Mr. Triple Double right now.
Mm,
And you saw it, when Trey was out with that, I think it was a knee injury.
yeah, yes,
Um,
yeah,
you saw how well they played without him, and that let us know right there that the end was near. And another thing that also let us know that the end was near was him not
contract.
getting an extension last year.
Yeah,
So when you put
that was
two and
really
two
the beginning,
together,
really.
yeah, right. So I knew, and if y'all watch Uncle Ocho last night, they even said, is he really a match player? And we'll get into that in a minute. But to just sign off on it, I just think what they got for him was hot Cheetos and a 20-ounce Coke. To be honest,
Yeah, the compensation, you look at it and you like, God, dog, you definitely would want more compensation than that. But at the end of the day, you look at it too. The Hawks, they were somewhat handcuffed at the same time. The injury did not help. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. That was really unfortunate because come all the moves that were made in the offseason, Trae Young was involved in all of them, even including in drafting Asa Newell. That was a thing that Trae Young was in on. The acquisition of Nall, acquisition of Luke Kennard, Trae Young was there for that. Even for the trade for Kristaps Porzingis, it was even like, saying like let Trey know, hey, we're about to make this move, and they're just like, oh, okay, this best center I pretty much don't had, saying ability wise, so go ahead and do your thing. So all these moves being made for Trey, or in the interest of the team and Trey's benefit, all those moves being made, and then all of a sudden now you don't wait and see the process out, you just move on. But obviously, again, when Trey was out, you seen the emergence of Jalen Johnson. You start seeing Nall even more, so having more of a free range with Quinn. Start seeing the emergence of Yucca Okongwu, everything. It just seemed like the team just did not necessarily match Trey anymore. So, but I was looking at it like this, Smitty. I felt like Trae Young could be somebody who doesn't have to be the guy anymore. He can be a guy that possibly, help the Atlanta Hawks, offensively. And I understand, some of the defensive struggles because yes, defensively, we're one of the worst teams. Like when he's on the floor, but
right?
offensively, we're one of the best teams when he's on the floor. We're fifth in the league when he's on the floor, and when he's off the floor, our offense is 24th in the league. Like that that
Yeah,
that
and
crazy, that crazy of a drop off. But defensively, let me be respectful. Defensively, yes, we are middle of the pack on the defense, but we are bottom of the league. There are 30 teams in the league. We are number 30 when he is on the floor defensively. So
Yeah,
give or
he
take,
was a liability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. We knew that defense was going to be there. Bottom of the league, like I said, on defense, but top of the league when he's on the floor on offense. So the Hawks are
But they
figure that
kind
out.
of offset it a little bit with Dyson Daniels coming on last year, so they figured it
Yeah,
out
last
just a
year.
little bit. But it seemed like back to the start of this year when he got back on the court. When they get like the NFL, the basketball is the same. When they get film on you, they learn how to attack you. And one thing about it, his defense is not his fault. It mainly has to do with he's only 5'11", 6 feet. So
Trey like 6 foot for real,
it's just
and he's only like 185 pounds, and I'm just
give
saying,
that much,
if that much, so you got to factor all those things. I understand there are other small guards, but some of those guards have more size, at least, even if they don't have the stature, they have at least a little bit more size, like the Donovan Mitchells, like the Jalen Bronsons, and even way back when you had guys like Eric Bledsoe, guys who were kind of stocky and everything, but they were still small guards, So
yeah, but
like
he was that dude was built like a damn linebacker though.
that's what I'm saying, though, bro. And that's my point. The Drew Holidays and everything like that. Like, even though Drew's not a small guard, he's a little bit higher. But the guards that are 6'3" and under, it's going to be tougher for them, and you're going to have to be like nice at a lot of different things. I don't think it can be just one or two things, and you got to do it at a high clip, like all the time. Like, you got to be perfect, darn near. So, because the league is changing, the league is definitely changing, and the Atlanta Hawks, I think, also want to get ahead of the curve. And I do see the philosophy of Anzi, with the versatility and you having all these different guys with some size and some length to be able to help you on both ends of the floor. It's just all about putting it all together with the continuity and also, some the game plan. And that's coming from the coaching, but also on the floor, guys gotta play. They gotta stop over helping. They gotta box out, all that stuff like that. You still don't have any paint presence. So, I feel like talking and boxing out is even more important. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see what the Atlanta Hawks do moving forward. Right now, I think Washington has the upper hand in the trade right now, only because technically you traded Trae Young for Corey Kispert. And the reason why I say that is because CJ McCollum contract expires at the end of this season. He's going to be on the Atlanta Hawks for the rest of the season, same as Kispert, especially since he's under contract all the way to 2030. So, like, Luke Kennard is out of here. But
yeah, he was on a 1-year deal anyway, so it really didn't matter about him.
Right, yeah. Another expiring deal. So it's like he's up out of here, but you can't include the two guys that you just received in any kind of deals for the remainder of the season. You're going to have to be Kristaps Porzingis, or it's going to have to be Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard, because those two contracts combined is $41.7 million. But even if they do try to pivot and get Anthony Davis, that won't be enough. AD is getting paid $54 million right now just for this season alone, his contract, and he still has 2 more years on the deal afterwards. That equals up to $121 million, including a $62 million extension. That's a player option, by the way, that he's going to opt into. Why wouldn't he? Then by that time, I think he'll be about 35, 36 at that time too. So a 36-year-old who is already declining before he hits 33, you want to I just
his prime was gone when he left LA. Let's keep it honest. But if y'all want to know the inside as to what the trade, what Sham Sharani was speaking on with the trade, here's a quick listen.
To our Shams Charania. Shams, I want to start here. Can you just give us some details on how this deal came together to send Trae Young to the Washington Wizards?
Malika, Trae Young wanted to be a Washington Wizard. He believes he can be a young anchor of this Washington Wizards rebuild. This has clearly been a team that's been drafting high. They're trying to figure out how to take the next step. And Wizards officials believe that Trae Young is that next step in their vision long term. And they want to build with Trae Young. And this is a team that's filled with young players, talented young players. They're going to have $46 million in cap space. And so Trae Young being that piece. And then CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert end up in Atlanta. But how does this end with Trae Young and his era over with the Hawks. And it's because it started in the offseason when the Hawks decided not to offer a contract extension to Trae Young. He has this season and next year, $49 million player option. They decided not to give him a contract extension offer. And now Trae Young is going to make his case for a long-term future with the Wizards.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine that there's going to be some sort of extension coming down the pipeline here for Trae Young and the Washington Wizards. But on the Atlanta side of all of this, of course, they get Corey Kispert, as you mentioned, and CJ McCollum. Are they done making moves before the trade deadline?
Look, at this Trae Young deal sets the Atlanta Hawks with additional financial flexibility to be active on the trade front to land another big name player, another major salary, and that being Anthony Davis in season. They're going to pursue Anthony Davis as a prime trade target with the Mavericks, but allowing this pursuit of Anthony Davis is really made possible because you get rid of this salary of Trae Young moving forward. And this is a Hawks team that's now going to turn the page with their young core led by Jalen Johnson and bring in CJ McCollum immediately, a plug-and-play veteran that can space the floor. Corey Kispert, a sharpshooter. So the Hawks are now moving toward figuring out, is there a big salary player that can bring in potentially Anthony Davis?
Okay.
I'm telling you, man, don't do it, Atlanta. Don't do it. My thing is, and it don't make no sense to get rid of a 27-year-old who's going to be making less regardless just because of the position he played, the size he is, all that stuff like that, for a guy whose nickname went from AD, who went to the brow, then it went to street clothes. Like, at the end of the day, AD is a talent. I know he is, absolutely. But again, look at his production. No, better yet, look at his games. Don't look at the production because that's going that right there.
Games he done played in the last 5 years. Just put it like that.
Every year it's going down. Every year it's going down. And again, he has some of the most craziest freak injuries that happened. He was just running down the floor and pulled his groin. Like, come on now. Can you imagine AD having a monster game for the Atlanta Hawks? Like, let's say we're up by 15. He's having a monster game, double-double, working on a triple-double. All of a sudden, he flexes his arms and starts running down the court and pulls something.
Yeah.
And then it's out for the next 2 weeks. And then right there go your paint presence again, because now it's only a Yeka, Asa Newell, and Mo G all over again.
Right.
And you don't trade it away Porzingis, who, again, I understand he's ill, or some people would even call it sickly. He's not injured. He's just got a condition that he can't get rid of. He has POTS. So dealing with that, I mean, regardless, you're going from one big who's out of the lineup to another big that's possibly out of the lineup. Yes, indeed, I understand AD when they both on the floor. AD defense, he's there. He's a presence on the offensive and defensive end. And then also, you think about it, even with Luke Kennard. I mean, yeah, he's a shooter. At the end of the day, you're just really including him. My main thing is including Zachary Ricochet. That's something I'm not willing to do, because that Zachary Ricochet would have to be included, because remember I said it's only $41.7 million.
Yeah, then you got to add in his $13 million salary too.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, because my goodness, it's just like, all right, so you trade Trae for an expiring contract and Corey Kispert, a sharpshooter, I get it, but that's it. And then also you trade him away, get those assets. Then you trade away KP, Ricochet, and Luke Kennard for AD.
But think about this too, Chris. You remember how we've been talking about the last week or two, maybe 3 weeks, about how they're using Zach Ricochet right now as a catch and shooter type guy. I mean, if you're going to not use him properly, what's the point in keeping him? So that, it might be a blessing for him to go somewhere else and show his talents, because I've watched him, on the French national team during the FIBA tournaments, and I've seen his all-around game. Like I told you before, he's one of those big men that can bring the ball up the floor. He can pass. He can shoot. He can, create his own shot, and he has a nice range. And the Hawks don't use his all-around game. They just use it for what they wanted to. So if they're getting Kispert, and if they're using Zach in that same capacity, I feel like it's a win for CRISPR for Zach, because if he leaves and goes to show his talent elsewhere, then it'll be another one of those situations about look what we had and we just got rid of it. So and basically that goes to what you've been saying, Quinn Snyder, man. It might be time to let that go.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder's seat just actually got warmer, if you ask me, because he's a guy that also advocated for Trae as well. You never know. The Atlanta Hawks possibly would have maybe moved on a little sooner, possibly got a little bit more capital, a little bit more value earlier.
Right.
If Quinn Snyder didn't publicly say, hey, I need Trae in order to make this work. And then when Trae is out, JJ is emerging. Again, Nall emerging, just the team itself just emerging. And then everything, I guess everyone's mind was made up. And it was like, well, we don't want to pay him this much and that much anyway. But I've been said before that I was like, I think Trae maybe need to try to take a little pay cut, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that's hard to ask a guy who has been really like the face of the franchise since he was drafted. So, and a 4-time All-Star, blah, blah, blah. I get it. It's just like, it's hard. It's so many optics to it. But everything is business. I don't think it was anything personal. I do believe the Atlanta Hawks still, you know what I'm saying, love Trae Young and actually want to keep him. But the best scenario, like, for example, they may have asked him to come off the bench, and like allow the starting unit to stay what it is, and him to come off the bench and actually lead the second unit. And that could be something tough to even ask him to do. He could be like, nah, that's not what I'm feeling. I'm not.
Agreed.
I'm not a bench type player, you know what I'm saying? I'm just not. So I can also see that possibly being a possibility, because keeping that chemistry on what's been going on since he's been gone. So
yeah,
I don't go ahead.
I don't even think he would have took a back seat to Jalen Johnson either, had they started playing together, because let's be real, he's the high dollar guy on the team. Why would you take a back seat, somebody making less than you, and you're the face of the franchise? That just doesn't make sense. So,
but I'll tell you what it would mean, though, bro. Like,
okay,
it would mean, if you did do that, it would mean that you're just putting the team and a possible championship, or at least playoff, some appearances ahead of, some just like you being the face or you just being the star. Like, again, I'm looking at it as like the way that the Hawks took off without him. I was like, okay, yes, they're playing better, but I still see certain places to where they still need him from a ball handling standpoint, passing standpoint, IQ standpoint. And then, of course, slowing down the game sometimes, slowing down momentum, because regardless of him, hunting fouls and everything, it did used to kind of slow the momentum down on the other end, because now everybody's getting it out of the net more so than just, a ball, so just bouncing off the rim and they catching out into a running. So, I mean, I did feel like there was a way that he could be, like I said, a guy, not necessarily the guy, but with Jalen Johnson emerging. But we'll never know. We'll never see. Washington gets their point guard, shoots. Travis Schlenk gets his point guard again. And he got him pretty much for nothing, just, so again, because CJ McCollum.
They do have solid pieces in Washington, and with $46 million in cap space, they still have. They'll go out and make a nice move or two in the offseason, and they may end up in the draft lottery as well. So, I mean, he's going to build that team from the ground up and building around the point guard. Guess what? He has two already. He already has a center there in Sar. So,
the guy we should have drafted.
Right. And I wouldn't have cared a lot more like Chris. I don't care what he said. I would have drafted him still, because we needed a big man.
I would have drafted him anyway. What are you going to do? Not play? What you going to do? Keep getting fined until you got no more rookie contract? No, you're going to play.
You're going to play. One way or another, you're going to play. And you can't, go nowhere against it. But, Bermie, you my guy. No, you've been a follower for a long time, man. But we never said Trae was on the level of Dominique. We are saying that when have the Hawks had another superstar that's been recognized in the league like Dominique? Yeah, we talk about Joe Johnson, but was Joe Johnson and there's no disrespect to ISO Joe, was he a superstar out there just like that? He was probably a second or third tier type player. But Trae was at one point top 10. because when you talk about assists, you talk about points, you talking about leadership on the floor. He was just that guy. And if you want me to put um a name on from like the old school, I say he's pretty much a scoring John Stockton, because Stockton had Malone. He knew how to pass. He knew how to run the floor. And when Trae could run the floor, that's when he was at his best. Yeah, he took a lot of ill-advised shots. But what superstar player is not going to do that? Yeah, Allen Iverson did it. So, yeah, to say that, losing him won't have the same impact, I disagree with that. It's going to have an impact because of his leadership on the floor, like Chris said, his points, and I seen one of y'all say he's a counselor in the locker room. But do we really know what happened in the locker room that went on with Trae? No, we don't. We only know about what the media said. John Collins in that situation, it got handled in the wrong manner, because I feel like, you shouldn't have put it out there on the internet for everybody to know. You should have handled it in-house. That is a front office and coaching problem. So, yeah, it's going to be a big loss whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah, and just to add context, first of all, to me, Dominique Wilkins is still like the greatest Hawk that's ever put on a Hawks uniform. And I mean, you can argue top 3 depending on who you're talking to, because there will be some Hawks fans that's been fans since Bob Pettit back in St. Louis. So some people will say, nah, Bob Pettit number 1 because he has the championship, even though it was in St. Louis. But as far as Atlanta, it is always going to be Dominique being number 1. And it has nothing to do with the statue. It just has to do everything what Dominique did for the team.
Impact.
Carrying the Hawks on his back, you know what I'm saying, for many years, going up against those Boston Celtics, trying to get over the hump. And Dominique is going to be number 1. But let's not act like, as far as kids, you know what I'm saying, born 2000, 2010, all that stuff like that, and them coming into the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young is their Dominique, okay? Call it what it is. Trae Young is their Dominique because he's the guy that helped provide some of the most excitement. The 2021, Eastern Conference Finals run, very exciting. I ain't gonna lie, very exciting time in Atlanta. You think about all those people, like I said, who was born 2000, 2010, all that stuff like that. They don't know nothing about Dominique Wilkins like that. So therefore, Trae is their Dominique Wilkins as far as impact.
Dominique playing person. I mean, you wouldn't want to look. If you saw Nick play in person, you wouldn't even give it a second thought about it. Who's the best Hawk ever? I'm telling you wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. Nick is number 1 for sure. But I'm just, adding some perspective for the new generation. I'm just saying, because I've seen and talked to plenty. I'm talking about hundreds of people that just, just out in the streets, people who may recognize me or anything, and we just have just a little side conversation. A lot of people have said Trae Young is the reason why I started watching Atlanta Hawks basketball.
Wow, that says a lot.
I'm just saying that just shows, so I just feel like that shows age and people who were paying attention to the Hawks, who weren't paying attention to the Hawks. A lot of people did not pay attention. Even when we had our run in 2015 to the Eastern Conference Finals with basically just a team of guys, people still wasn't checking for us. They didn't check for us until the box office guy came, and that was Trae Young. Regardless, he was a box office guy. He put butts in the seats. And that's what, as far as entertainment goes, a small guy being able to do what he does, like Steph Curry light. So it's just like, and then coming out of college, I know some people think he was overhyped, but he was still leading points and assists and 3-pointers made coming out of college. So It's like, was it really overhyped? I don't know. But at the end of the day, all I do know is I do wish Trae Young the very best in Washington, back with Travis Schlenk again. We'll see if Travis can build the team that he was trying to build here in Atlanta now up there. That'll be interesting. But also, I must say this too, Quinn Snyder, that seat has got to be on fire.
Absolutely.
It has to be. And honestly, I'm not hard on Quinn, but Quinn wasn't my choice, my decision. It was so crazy. Quinn was on vacation, and they went and got Quinn and brought him in. And I know he was going through things, but I still would have took Ime Udoka. that's the coach that I wanted for the Atlanta Hawks.
Man, look, I'm
But
telling you, this is why Atlanta sports never get it right, man. They scared to swing for the fences when it comes to big name coaches. Why? Because they want things done their way and it's my way or the highway. And until that mindset changes, it's gonna be the same thing. Because if you listen at the Arthur Blank press conference, we're gonna do a show on that soon. Y'all will listen. If y'all just read through the context, it's always gonna be Arthur Blank way or no way. No matter what he tell y'all, at the end of the day, when he answered those questions, what was at the end of it? They answered to me. So until they go out and get a coach that makes them uncomfortable and make them make changes that they need to make, it's gonna be the same old thing. And that's what we've been saying. And Dirty Bird Gang, Chris spoke about this on a recent show on Hawks Digest. Where it wasn't recent, but I've heard him speak on this. They tried to trade Trae, but I think Quinn Snyder blocked it. So if the coach block it, what can you do?
You're gonna be able to do nothing with that. Again, like I said, they said they need each other. You know, it was one point in time when they were like they need each other, they like working with each other, and that was just the end all and be all. To be honest, it would just say they said they need each other. And moving forward, we're at where we're at now. I just feel like, you know, it's kind of mismanagement, but I want to see how they're going to flip this. I do want to see how the Atlanta Hawks are going to flip this into our favor. Seeing exactly, you know, we didn't get the compensation, but I definitely want to see like where we're going to go, you know.
But then you tell me that they turned down a first round pick to just have that cap space.
I mean, that's a rumor. I'm not sure how true that rumor is, but yeah, apparently you could have got a first round pick, but they valued the Corey Crispert contract more so because, like, again, if he's under contract all the way to 2030, so you never know if you may need to include him in another trade somewhere down the line. You got a good contract to do it, because year by year it's going to look better and better because guys are going to be getting paid. And because right now, what it's 4 years, 54 million, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. So, but again, as it goes on, it's going to look even better and better, and you possibly can, you know, trade him possibly too. But yeah, man, guys, at the end of the day.
But I understand why Trae wanted to go to Washington because Travis Link and they worked together in Atlanta. He saw what he was building, and that's somebody that he trusts. And I think Travis Link has the same confidence in him, and that's the thing that you want to see when you have a star player on your team. Now they do, like I said, have Sar, and they even traded, you know, their former number 1 pick to Portland a couple of years ago, and that to me that was stupid. But at the same time, you know, I mean, they have a vision in Washington, and we had one in Atlanta. But right now, what is our vision? Because you trade your star player and you make Jalen the face of the Hawks, basically. But at the same time, you trade for a 35-year expiring contract. Then you change for a catch and shoot guy, something that you already have in Luke Kennard. So actually, what are you doing? And I think it'll be revealed in a couple of days. But again, I still don't think that Anthony Davis is just that guy to get us over the top.
Yeah, man. I just feel like at this point, Atlanta, you have all this cap space and everything like that you're going to have. Right now, you don't have it because you still have you have the 2 contracts that just came over.
Right.
So you only have roughly about maybe like a mil or so, and actually around the cap space. We're still around in the same area. You didn't gain anything from moving Trae as far as cap space right now, but it's when the contracts drop off your list.
It's after the season, basically. After this season, the salary drops off. But until then, we stuck with it. And if you want me to be real about it, if you're going to make a move that wows the crowd, probably go get a Jaylen Brown or somebody like that. Somebody, another wing that you can come in and, you know, do the same thing that some of these guys you signed should be doing. But, you know, if you get a big 3, man, you're going to have to go out and get another center. And I'm going to be real with you, Chris. I'm going to just say it, man. And you might not agree with it, but I know the asking price is steep.
What's that?
But I would have rather went out and got Zubac. and just gave them, maybe a first round pick this year and one down the road, I would have just done it because
No, go ahead.
at least I know he's going to be healthy. With AD, is a crapshoot. Like I said, he can come in the arena on the first night and leave on a stretcher the same night.
That's definitely true.
So
That's definitely true.
Go get somebody that's reliable. That's all I'm saying. Because if you think about it, and just like John said, he could get hurt playing a game of spades, slamming the card on the damn table. But James said the Hawks owner would never be willing to pay to win a championship in Atlanta. It goes back to Pete, and he's talking about Pistol Pete Maravich, David Thompson, Marvin Webster, Dr. J, Dominique, and now Trae. And James is older than me, so he's really absolutely right. Yeah,
that David Thompson really hurt. The fact that we just didn't even have the capital and everything, and didn't want to make moves to even try to get David Thompson. All it was just pay a little more money, we'd have had David Thompson. But anyway, it goes, he's right. Mr. Pete, Dominique, Dr. J, Ice Trae. I mean, you can even think about even in the middle of that, some people was like, why you let Al Horford go? Some people was like, why you move on from Joe Johnson? So it was, you can make an argument for a couple of people, honestly, a couple of players.
But I get the Joe Johnson thing, and there's no disrespect to ISO Joe. Again, I think he's a top 10 Hawk all time. But you look at what they did with the money that they used to move him. That's how they ended up with that team with Jeff Teague and that team of misfits that made it all the way to the conference finals. Now, if we had a true center in the finals, we possibly could have beat LeBron them. But LeBron them, they had everything you needed, so we couldn't compete with that because we know Al Horford won the damn center. He was a power forward. So
it's not just that too, though. Bron also figured out the Hawks and how to beat us too. If you notice, go back, man, they put Jeff Teague in that doggone pick and roll, and they was pick and rolling the heck out of Jeff. And then when you started to try to collapse on that to try to help and provide anything for Jeff Teague, what happened? Other folks getting open. 3 ball. It just, next thing you know, 4-0. All right, then.
Funny thing, Shirley, like Chris said this earlier, that would be the only player that I would go trade that kind of money and sign that kind of money with, and that's Anthony Edwards.
That's it. That's the Anthony I trade for. That's the Anthony I free up cap space for. Especially how the Hawks play right now. And you have JJ and mess around and add Ant-Man into this lineup right now with the fact that Ant-Man has size and that star ability and everything like that. He would be an upgrade from Trae. I ain't gonna lie, love Trae, but he ain't Ant-Man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was like say I'm late, but I need the Hawks. But the Hawks need one owner with some money.
Oh, that's gonna spend some cake, man. What my thing is, he has the money. We just, if you look at it all the way back from when he first bought the team all the way to now, one thing that he is constant, trying to stay under that luxury tax, trying to build the team a cheap way and try to win it that way instead of paying money to players. And so far, it's gotten us to the Eastern Conference Championship. That's all.
Let's keep it real. In any sport, any team that wins spends money. Look at the Eagles. They had star players on their team already. They go out and get Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins in the trade for a 6th-round pick. See, these are the type, moves you got to be willing to make to just risk it all, man. And when they finally figure out the risk it all is going to win them games, it'll turn around. And Ghost Pepper been following me for years, man. I've been saying we've needed a center since Dan Latumbo left. That's been 20 years ago. Al Horford was a power forward. He was never a center. But he fit the scheme so well as to what they did with the triangle offense. So,
man, what they say, no risk it, no biscuit, man.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta, on the horn, man.
JT said team with Joe. Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
No, you can read it and say, I was just going to say the thing is about Ant-Man, I think he's on the contract till 2029. So you definitely will have to trade him and assets for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But honestly, with a star like that, I wouldn't care what it would be. Because one thing I know is somebody's going to want to come there down and play with him, no matter what the front office look like. But JT said that team with Joe was poorly constructed with Josh's and pointless basketball by that knucklehead Billy Knight. He's absolutely true. If y'all remember that, that was a positionless team, and everybody on the damn team was 6'7", 6'8". So how do you have any diversity in that? You got to have a mismatch somewhere. If you got everybody on the team the same height, guess what? Somebody gonna come up short. Whether it's power forward, whether it's center, whether it's point guard, somebody gonna come up short.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
So yeah, I mean, look, Russell bought this team for $900 million. The Hawks worth $3 billion, and Russell is heavily invested in the ghost development. But see, that's business. That's the bottom line. That's lining his pockets. That ain't got nothing to do with the team. It may draw, other people down to the arena, but at the end of the day, that's something just totally different from basketball. We talking about building a basketball team.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, I can care. Me personally, the Hawks arena, how it's set up now. You really don't even have to go for basketball. Like you can just go in there and it's like a club atmosphere. And a lot of people that I've seen and talk to, they really kind of are not necessarily there for the team. It's more so the experience. Oh yeah, I'm here with my homegirls and everything. We decided to come out here and check out these Hawks and see what they got going on with all the party favors and blah blah blah. And then you have other people who are fans of other teams there. It's just it's a very welcoming environment. But as far as like basketball, that's not what a lot of people are there for. And that's what we want people there for.
Yeah. Out of sight said another one thing. Every time a Georgia team trade a star player away, they wait until they trade drops tremendously. And yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Because they trade 2 years ago, they get at least 2 first-round picks easily. Because you're looking at teams like Milwaukee that's still contending. They still had Chris Middleton. They had Giannis. And I think they still had Lopez as well. So you trade him to Milwaukee 2 years ago, they probably win another ring. So you have to look at, circumstances. And there was another name out there that possibly on the trade block. And I told y'all it would have been the only player I would have traded for as far as a point guard, and that's Devin Booker.
Oh,
you should have probably tried to explore that trade scenario. Because guess what? If he wants out, him and Trae, their contracts line up just right, you go out and make a move like that. But like you said, you waited too long and you missed out.
Yeah, you did. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless, it is what it is. We can't even really hammer this home anymore than what we already have. Again, thank you to Ice Trae for all the memories that you did get. Sorry that it didn't work out. Sorry for us Hawks fans that it didn't work out for him. For us, and sorry that it didn't work out him being just in Atlanta. I'm just at the end of the day, I'm thankful for the things that he did bring, but it's time to move forward, man. Like I said, Jalen Johnson era, and I'm just hoping that it all works. Yeah. I'm just hoping that it all works. It's got to work. It's all got to work.
But yeah, man, this quick pop-up show, we had to speak on it right quick. If y'all want to know more on the inside of it, man, please go to Hawks Digest with Chris and Walter over there giving y'all Hawks content, to the highest level. We will try to find time to do a pop-up show on the Arthur Blank press conference.
Yes.
About the Falcons and his thoughts on moving forward. And the crazy thing about it, a lot of things he talked about, me and Chris talked about it on the show 2-3 maybe a month ago. So it's really a refresh of what we've been telling y'all, and we'll break off certain points so y'all get our points on the whole press conference. But before we get out of there, man, tell everybody where to find you.
Hey man, A1 Forever Sports, that's the platform on YouTube. Come on, like, comment, and subscribe. Be a part of the A1 family. Just crossed over 4,500. So we're looking to continue to grow this channel. Shoot, man, 10K, 15, beyond. As far as you guys are willing to listen and guys willing to take me. But make sure y'all find y'all peace, because positive energy always creates elevation. And I hope you guys find your peace. For those who haven't yet on the Trae Young situation, you might as well, because at the end of the day, it's over and done with. It's time to move forward. Hopefully, we're moving in the right directions and not going to make any kind of hasty or any more hasty decisions or hasty kind of choices. Especially, I'm just talking about that AD thing. I am, but outside of that, also
bothers you, ain't it?
yeah, it just wouldn't make any sense to me. But it really just wouldn't. But ultimately, again, Hawks Digest, catch me over there, like Smitty was saying, me and Walter Pollard covering the Hawks. You know, no matter how big or how small, we cover it all over there. Twitter A1 Forever, Instagram A1 Forever, and the real A1 Forever on TikTok. Again, thank y'all each and every time for y'all coming up, pulling up. We always appreciate y'all.
Facts. Devon Unknown. Appreciate you, my guy. Yeah, man. Catch me on Smitty Sports Machine right here on YouTube. I'm on StreamYard, still using StreamYard, but again, man, we're gonna find time to bring y'all our thoughts on the Arthur Blank press conference. We might just put it up and plug certain points of it. We'll see what we can do. But also find me on Twitter at FatBoySlim_21 on Twitter, because I'm always over there blowing it up, man. Always putting up decent questions, and a lot of Falcons and Hawks and Braves fans are on there as well. So if you want to communicate with a lot of good Falcons and Hawks and Braves fans, come on over to Twitter, because they have spaces and all. So for my boy Chris, this your boy Antoine Smith signing off. We gonna holler at y'all soon, man, with the Arthur Blank press conference reaction, and we out. Peace.
Peace.